let's start with a little test. Picture this in your head. A super famous character from a board game you've definitely played at some point. So you're picturing him, right? The top hat, the little white mustache, the whole deal. But focus on his eyes for a sec. Does he have a monocle? Get a really clear picture. You got it? Well, what if I told you he never has? Not once. If you saw a monocle, your brain just played a little trick on you. And if your mind is kind of blown right now, you are not alone. Welcome to Bright Bites, where today we are diving deep into the wild mystery of why our brains create these super vivid memories of things that never, ever happen. Okay, so let's just get this straight from the start. Your memory, it's not a perfect video camera, recording every single thing exactly as it happens. Nope. It's more like a creative movie editor. And as we're about to see, sometimes that editor gets things completely and utterly wrong. And look, we're not just talking about forgetting where you put your keys. A false memory is a whole different animal. It's when your brain actively creates a memory, a really detailed, vivid one, of something that's either a distorted version of reality or just completely made up. And yeah, as we just proved, it happens to literally all of us. So when a ton of people, we're talking millions, all share the exact same wrong memory, there's actually a name for it, and you've probably heard it before: the Mandela Effect. The whole thing got its name back in 2009 from a researcher named Fiona Broome. See, she was at a conference and started talking to people and realized something super weird. She could have sworn she remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison back in the 1980s. She had a crystal clear memory of it. And the craziest part, so did a bunch of other people. Except that's not what happened at all. In reality, Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990. He became the president of South Africa, and he lived a long life, passing away in 2013. So this huge, bizarre gap between what so many people remembered and what actually happened, well, that's how the Mandela Effect was born. But okay, the Mandela Effect goes way beyond just one historical event. It pops up everywhere, and I mean everywhere, especially in pop culture. So get ready, because we're going to run through a few more that might honestly break your brain a little bit. All right, Star Wars fans, brace yourselves. It's probably the most misquoted line in movie history. Everyone thinks Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father." He doesn't. He actually says, "No, I am your father." The word Luke isn't even in there. I know. Go look it up. How did you say the name of these books when you were a kid? I bet you said the Berenstain Bears with an E, right? Well, millions of people remember it that exact way. But if you grab one of the books right now, you'll see it has always been spelled Berenstain with an I. Okay, picture the Fruit of the Loom logo. You know, the pile of fruit. Is there a big, woven, horn-shaped basket behind it? A cornucopia? A lot of people see it clear as day in their minds. But guess what? It was never there. It's a phantom detail our collective brains just decided to add in. And one more for you. Pikachu. What does his tail look like? Does it have a black tip on the end? So many people would say absolutely. But nope, his tail is solid yellow. It has always been solid yellow. So which one of these got you? Was it Vader? The bears? Let me know in the comments below. And hey, if you're questioning your own sanity right now, do me a favor and hit that like button. All right, so we've seen all these bizarre examples. That's the what. But now for the big question. Why? How is this even possible? Is it some kind of glitch in the Matrix? Well, not exactly. It all comes down to the weird and wonderful way our brains are wired. As researcher Wilma Bainbridge says, we don't save everything we see in memory. And that's the key. Your brain is not a high-definition video camera. It's more like a zip file. To save energy and space, it has to compress everything. It keeps the main idea, the gist, but in that compression process, some of the tiny, exact details can get lost, or even changed. A huge reason for this is something called schema theory. Now, a schema is basically just a mental shortcut, like a template your brain uses for things. Let's go back to the Monopoly man. In your head, you have a schema for old-timey rich guy. And what does that template include? A top hat, a suit, and probably a monocle. So your brain just auto-fills that detail because it fits the pattern. Boom, a false memory is born. And it's not just one thing at play here. You've got the misinformation effect. That's when hearing new, wrong info actually rewrites an old memory. Then there's the illusory truth effect, which is when you hear a lie so many times, it just starts to feel true. And there's also source misattribution. That's when you remember a fact perfectly, but you completely forget where you heard it. So maybe you just dreamed it, but your brain files it away as real.
Get this, scientists can actually create false memories in a lab, and it is shockingly easy. They'll give people a list of related words, like bed, rest, awake, dream. Later, they ask them to recall the list, and a huge number of people will swear the word sleep was on it. But it wasn't. Their brain just connected all the dots and inserted the most logical word, creating a memory out of thin air. So, misremembering a cartoon character is one thing. It's weird, it's a fun bit of trivia. But this is where things get serious. Because the fact that our memory is so unreliable, well, it has massive, real-world consequences.
Think about it. In a courtroom, an eyewitness testimony can literally send someone to prison. But what if that memory is false? It can, and it has, led to wrongful convictions. In therapy, there are huge debates about whether traumatic memories are being recovered or unintentionally implanted. And online, that illusory truth effect we talked about is basically the engine of misinformation. Repeat a lie enough times, and it starts to feel true, shaping everything we believe.
Which leaves us with a pretty unsettling question, doesn't it? If our own memories, the very stories that make up who we are, can be so easily twisted and even made up, what can we really, truly trust about our own past? It's a heavy thought, but a pretty important one. Thanks for exploring it with me here on Bright Bites. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. And you know what? Share this with a friend whose mind you want to blow. Coming up next on Bright Bites, we're tackling the psychology of procrastination. Yep, why you keep putting things off. And we're also digging into how algorithms are secretly shaping your reality. You don't want to miss it. See you in the next one.